Holy crepe, everybody! Welcome to the Domestic Geek. French crepes remain one of the most perplexing culinary creations in the food world. And it's really sad because the fact is they're actually very simple to make, as long as you follow these easy steps. Okay, so the first secret to making the perfect crepe is to have a great go-to recipe. What I love about this recipe is that it can all be mixed up in your blender. If you don't have a blender, don't sweat it. You can also do it by hand, but the blender does such a great job, makes it totally effortless. All right, so we're gonna start off with 2 eggs. Then we'll add 3/4 of a cup of milk, a half a cup of water, and then 3 tablespoons of melted butter. Don't hold back, we're not using margarine here. Finally, you're gonna add a cup of flour, then put the lid on and blend it all up. For a sweet crepe, you can opt to add some sugar, vanilla, and liqueur. And for a more savory crepe, some chopped fresh herbs and a little bit of salt will make it for a nice salty batter. The next secret to making the perfect crepe is to actually strain your batter. Now, a lot of people skip this step, and that is a mistake. You don't want any lumps of flour getting into your crepe. Just take a sieve and then pour your batter through, and what you'll end up with is this gorgeous velvety, buttery batter. So the next secret to making the perfect crepe is to let your batter rest. Now, an hour is fine, but overnight is definitely ideal. And of course, through the magic of YouTube, I have some that's already rested. So off we go to the stove. What we have is a frying pan. I just happen to have a really nice flat crepe pan. You can totally use a regular frying pan as well if that's what you have on hand. If you want to use a silicone spatula while you're doing this. A, it will not scratch the nonstick coating on your pan, and B, it's really good at getting under the edges for a perfect flip. We have our batter, we have our butter, and we have a plate, because once these bad boys start rolling, you're not gonna wanna walk away. So we're basically just gonna stack them as we make them. So we have our pan heated to about medium high, and we're gonna start with a pretty generous amount of butter. Again, this is French cooking. We don't skimp on the butter. We just go for it. Be prepared for this to potentially be a casualty. It takes a little while to get into the rhythm of things. You want to pour in the center and then work your batter out to the sides like this. And that's how you end up creating a really smooth finish. And then you wait for the edges to get crispy. Once it's time to flip one of these, you'll know because the edges start pulling away from the pan almost effortlessly. You should be able to start shaking it like this and seeing the give. So it's time for the flip. Now you want to use your spatula to sort of get as underneath as you can, and then over it goes. Now you're only going to need about 10 seconds on this side once you're over. She's a beauty. There are few foods in the culinary universe more intimidating than the crepe. And in fact, it's actually one of the easiest things to make once you get the hang of it. Now I'm just showing off. And voila, you have a beautiful stack of French crepes. These are great for breakfast, lunch, dinner, sweet or savory, always delicious. They refrigerate beautifully for up to 3 days, or you can freeze them for up to 3 months. All you do is just put a sheet of parchment in between them so they're easy to pull off one by one. Then just throw them in the oven and heat them up and they're ready to serve. Subscribe to Coral if you are now aching to make some crepes.